Beta oxidation of fatty acid is nothing but the process by which fatty acids are broken down to give energy. That is the meaning. Okay. So beta oxidation is defined as oxidation of fatty acids on beta carbon atom. So sequential removal of two carbon fragments, that is acetyl CoA. Now see here, for this you have to first of all see this is the cycle beta oxidation. Okay, beta oxidation of fatty acids. So in this beta oxidation of fatty acids, so initially you have a fatty acid like palmitic acid, what you are seeing here, palmitic acid. So during each step of the cycle, two carbons are removed, series of steps, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, like that. 16 carbon compound it is, okay. So in the form of acetyl-CoA, it will be utilized. So the first step of the cycle, that is conversion, like transport of this fatty acid, it is basically converted to acyl-CoA and then it is transported from cytoplasm to the mitochondria, for which we require carnitine transport system. So this system you should draw first. The first step is taking place in the cytoplasm, breakdown of fatty acids like palmitic acid. So see here, the palmitic acid, like it's acyl-CoA, it's now being transported by this enzyme carnitine acyl transferase 1. It will transport this fatty acid from the cytoplasm into the mitochondria. Okay, so acyl carnitine is the form combination of acyl CoA plus carnitine. You have acyl carnitine. Once acyl carnitine is entering into the mitochondrial matrix, it dissociates again into acyl CoA and carnitine. Carnitine is transported back to cytosol, and acyl CoA now starts getting broken down to form simpler carbon compounds so as to give energy ATP. Now see here, fatty acid is now converted to acyl-CoA in the presence of thiokinase. Here ATP is utilized in the presence of magnesium. ATP is converted to AMP plus high energy phosphate. So now acyl-CoA through carnitine transport system, it is transported to mitochondria. FATCA is the core beta. FA, acyl-CoA, cell-CoA same only. FATHKA, FATCA. You can write in your textbooks, FATCA. It becomes easy for you to remember. So acyl-CoA, in the presence of acyl-CoA dehydrogenase, it is converted to delta-2 trans-enoyl-CoA. Then in the presence of enyl-CoA hydrolase, it is converted to beta-hydroxy-acyl-CoA. Then beta-keto-acyl-CoA. Finally, you will see two carbon compound is liberated during each step. That is two carbon compound, you have one carbon, two carbon, that is acetyl CoA. Like that, around how many 8 cycles should take place to release 16 carbon compounds. That is 8 into 2, 16. Huh? So 8 times this acetyl CoA will enter into citric acid cycle, that is Krebs cycle, to give energy. Is that okay, beta? So now acetyl CoA is generated, then acyl CoA will have two carbons minus. Like that again it will enter like this. Again two carbon minus, like that. Two carbon minus, 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 minus. Finally acetyl CoA will be released. So 16 carbon compound is gradually broken down in this way. So now see here, energetics are like this. So beta oxidation, 7 cycles, it is going for 7 cycles. So we know like one FAD, it gives rise to 2 ATP molecules. So that means 7 into 2, 14. One NAD gives rise to 3 ATP molecules. 7 into 3, 21. Okay, 8 acetyl-CoA, when they go into citric acid cycle, each citric acid cycle acetyl-CoA will give rise to 12 ATP. Because we have 8, 12 into 8 is 96. So if you do this grand total, the grand total is 131 ATPs are liberated from one palmitic acid. But initially you have seen this ATP was utilized. So you are just minus subtracting it. So the net gain from the palmitic acid is 129. Okay, 129 ATP molecules are generated from one palmitic acid. Is that okay, Ritika, Chavi? Understood, beta?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you have this. Read this question. So what vitamin is this, Ritika? Chavi? Very simple vitamin. Ritika,
Yes, ma'am.
which vitamin is this? Decreased vision in the night. Possible?
Vitamin A.
Vitamin A deficiency. So we are now asked sources, RDA functions, and deficiency manifestations. So we have to discuss about vitamin A. See. What are the sources of vitamin A? Yellow and orange foods are rich in vitamin A, isn't it? Okay. See, first of all, we should talk about sources. So the sources of vitamin A are, see, among vegetarian sources, we have all papaya, carrot, okay, orange, like whatever, or like carotenoids, yellow, orange foods, they are rich in vitamin A, and liver, and non-vegetarian foods, they are also rich. See here, animal sources, liver, kidney, egg yolk, milk, cheese, butter, fish liver oils. Then vegetable sources, carotenes, yellow, orange foods. Okay. So carrots, spinach, amaranth, pumpkins, mango, papaya, etc. These are the rich sources. Now, what is the daily dietary requirement? See here. In adults, like in man, it is 3,500 IU, and in case of females, it is 2,500 international units. Now, coming to the functions of vitamin A. Basically, vitamin A is very, very important for the purpose of vision. So, for the vision, you have to give this cycle, which is called as Wald's visual cycle. So, this is the cycle which is taking place in the retina. Okay. So, what are you finding? See here. See the rhodopsin. There in the rhodopsin, in the rods, we have 11 cis retinol opsin. So, whenever light is focused, you will see it is now converted to all trans retinol. So, which is reversibly can be converted to 11 cis retinol, or it can be converted to all trans retinol in the presence of alcohol dehydrogenase. All trans retinol is now in the presence of isomerase converted to 11 cis retinol. Then again in the presence of alcohol dehydrogenase, 11 cis retinol to 11 cis retinol. Okay, so this helps in vision. So these cyclical changes which are taking place inside the retina rods. Okay, here vitamin A is utilized for the purpose of vision. That's the reason if like vitamin A is deficient, person is suffering with night blindness. Okay, then see here. Basically, if for vitamin A and also vitamin D, generally we consider them as more like hormones than vitamins because they are working same like hormones. They are helping in transcription and translation. Now, let us see. You can take in the diet either like plant source that is beta carotene or animal source that is retinyl ester. So retinyl ester is animal source which is converted to retinol. So in the intestinal cell, the beta carotene is converted to retinol, then retinol, and then retinyl esters. So these retinal esters are now converted to chylomicrons. Just you can draw this cycle looking at this cycle. So in the liver, generally you will see retinol palmitate is stored. Suppose if our body is in need of vitamin A, retinol, from retinol palmitate, retinol is formed. That is taking place in Wald's visual cycle. So retinol binding protein, it is moving into the target cell. It can be retina or any other skin cell where it is helping in multiplication of cells also. Epithelial cells multiplication are also helped by vitamin A. Retinol is converted to retinoic acid. Now inside the nucleus, it has receptors. Retinoic acid gets attached at this nuclear receptors. So it is helping in the formation of mRNA. That means transcription. Then mRNA helps in formation of proteins. That is translation. Then cell differentiation. It looks as though it is hormone. That's why active form of vitamin A and also active form of vitamin D, they are considered more like hormones than vitamins. Okay, that is. So we have seen sources, we have seen RDA, we have seen important functions. Vitamin A helping in vision, that is Wald's visual cycle. Apart from this, it also helps in color vision. Okay, we have three types of cones we have seen in physiology: red, green, and blue. Okay, then other biochemical functions: retinol and retinoic acid, they act as steroid hormones. Then it is essential to maintain healthy epithelial tissue. It is helpful in the synthesis of glycoproteins, which are important for the growth and mucosecretion. It is also helpful in the synthesis of transferrin, iron transport protein. Okay, it is helping in proper maintenance of immune system. Cholesterol synthesis also requires vitamin A. Carotenoids are actually precursors like beta carotene, inactive forms what we see in the plant. Okay, they are very important. They act as antioxidants, killing the free radicals. Okay, so that is then deficiency of vitamin A, it leads to night blindness, then dryness of cornea, keratomalacia, Bitot spots. Okay, so all those clinical conditions we can see with vitamin A deficiency. Bitot spots, night blindness, xerophthalmia, dry eye, keratomalacia, cornea becomes very much soft and it can be easily poked also. That condition is keratomalacia. Okay, reproduction is also reduced and the epithelial cells, then the skin becomes dry, rough, scaly in the absence of vitamin A. So that is all about vitamin A functions that we see. Okay, then what are the hormones which are regulating blood glucose levels?
Insulin, glucagon.
Yeah, very good. Insulin, what does it do?
Reduces the blood glucose level.
And glucagon increases. And not only glucagon, we have many other hormones in fact which will be increasing blood glucose levels. Can you name those hormones? The other hormones which increase. All hormones except insulin, all are concerned with increasing blood glucose except insulin. I told you many times. Name at least few hormones which increase blood glucose. Tika, do you remember the other hormones? Glucocorticoids, growth hormone, thyroid hormone, all hormones, whatever we have in our body, they are all glucogenic, except insulin, which only reduces blood glucose levels. There is a very good chart for us to understand this. Not in this chapter, I just see here. See, hormonal regulation of blood glucose. This you can take a screenshot of it. Very, very important. See, insulin is the only hormone which is increasing blood glucose levels through all these mechanisms. It increases glucose uptake, it increases glycolysis, glycogenesis, HLP-shunt, lipid synthesis, gluconeogenesis is reduced, and glycogenolysis is reduced. Okay, that's how it reduces blood glucose levels. Whereas remaining all hormones like glucagon, epinephrine, thyroxine, glucocorticoids, growth hormone, ACTH, through different mechanisms, they are all bringing about increase in the blood glucose, that is hyperglycemia. Okay, beta? That is hormonal regulation of blood glucose. You can elaborate this for this answer. Okay? Then competitive enzyme inhibition. Competitive inhibitors. What do you mean by competitive inhibition? Ms. Ritika, do you remember something? Competitive inhibition.
They have a similar structure.
They, in the sense, what better? Can you elaborate? The substrate and the inhibitor will have the same structure to bind at the binding site of enzyme. That means both of them are competing to come and bind with, at the active site of enzyme. So whoever comes and binds first, survival of the fittest. If inhibitor is coming and binding, then no reaction. If substrate is coming and binding, then you will see there will be reaction taking place. Now, basically, this is the enzyme. In the enzyme, there is an active site where substrate is supposed to come and bind. Okay, competitive inhibitor, CL. This one is a very good example. Okay, competitive inhibitor, you are finding this is enzyme. There is only one active site, substrate and inhibitor. Both are competing to come and bind at the active site. Both are almost similar in structure. Suppose if substrate comes and binds, then you will see product will be found. But suppose if inhibitor comes and binds, then you will see product is not found. For example, in case of gout, what is the drug we use? Allopurinol. That is the inhibitor which prevents the formation of uric acid. No? So that is, suppose inhibitor comes and binds at this active site, the uric acid is not produced. Suppose if substrate comes and binds, then only you will see the production of uric acid. That is the best example we can give. Competitive inhibition. Okay. So if substrate comes and binds, you will see enzyme substrate which gives the product. But if inhibitor comes, then you will see there is inhibition of the reaction taking place. Okay. So for this we have table 6.2. This button. Inhibitors. We generally use these inhibitors to treat certain diseases like xanthine oxidase is the enzyme. Substrate is hypoxanthine xanthine. Inhibitor is allopurinol. To use this inhibitor, you can reduce the production of uric acid. You can prevent gout. Similarly, we have many substrates. Okay, and this is the enzyme. We can use this inhibitor to treat the corresponding diseases. Okay, vitamin K is the substrate. Vitamin K epoxide is the enzyme. Suppose if you don't want vitamin K to work, vitamin K helps in clotting mechanism. No, if you do not want blood clotting, if you want, it acts as an anticoagulant, dicomarol. Okay, so when you are doing certain procedures like surgeries and all, when you want the blood to flow like that, okay, like you are taking dialysis or some other form of treatment, then if you want to go with anticoagulant, you can go with dicomarol, which competes with vitamin K to bind with vitamin K epoxide reductase. Like that, so many examples are there you can use for this. Please practice all complete table. What is SDA and glycemic index? SDA also I told you. It is SDA, specific dynamic action of food. What does it mean? After we take food, the body temperature slightly increases, no? That is SDA. Specific dynamic action, nutrition chapter. SDA, specific dynamic action of food. Glycemic index is also asked, no? We'll see simultaneously. See, glycemic index means, see, variations in increase and fall of blood glucose level after the ingestion of different carbohydrate containing food. Okay, so this quantitative differences are assayed, that means measured with the help of this formula, that is glycemic index. That means what carbohydrate food is intending to increase our blood glucose levels. We can measure it by just substituting in this formula. Okay, glycemic index. High glycemic index means the foods which have the tendency of increasing the blood glucose levels like this. Low glycemic index means good foods. They do not tend to increase the blood glucose levels. They are safe for diabetic patients. High glycemic means immediately they will cause the rise of blood glucose levels. So how to measure? See, area under the blood glucose curve under ingestion of test meal. Area under the curve after the ingestion of glucose multiplied with 100. Okay, so this will help us to know the glycemic index. Okay, so in this graph we should know time in minutes after the ingestion of food. 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 120 minutes. This is the blood glucose levels, 500, 50, 100, 150 milligrams per deciliter. So these are the foods with low glycemic index, blue in color, foods with high glycemic index. So just substituting this formula, we will come to know which carbohydrate is good and which carbohydrate containing food is bad. See, glycemic index are also given for certain foods. Glucose, directly it will shoot up the blood glucose. Glucose water if you are taking. Carrots, the shooting up is, it again 90 to 95 means it is this pink line only. Okay. Like that honey, bread, rice, they have all high glycemic. Suppose if the glycemic index is ranging from 60, 70, then they are good. 60, 70 and all these are good. Banana, potato, sweet potato, orange, apples, ice cream, milk, fructose, soya beans. They all contain carbohydrates, but their glycemic index is low. They do not shoot up the blood glucose levels as fast as glucose, carrots, honey, bread and rice. Okay. Is that clear, Ritika? Chavi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now he is also asking specific dynamic action of food, SDA. See, once we eat food, suppose you have had your lunch, you will feel hot, as though you are getting sweating. Isn't it? Usually, that is the tendency. After we eat food, the body temperature slightly increases. That is because of the thermogenic action, thermic action of food. So it is different if we take carbohydrate diet or protein diet or fat diet or mixed diet. Okay. So if you consume 25 grams protein, 130 calories of it is liberated. Okay, likewise 100 calories of fat results in 113 calories. So overall, see, proteins, they will have high SDA. Proteins possess the highest SDA, while carbohydrates here, SDA for protein, fat, carbohydrate are 30%, 13% and 5%. That means for proteins 30, for fat 13 and for carbohydrates is only 5. That means the amount of heat generated is highest when we consume protein diet. Okay. When mixed diet is taken, SDA is not an additive value of different foods, but it is much less when we take mixed diet. Okay, beta? So that is SDA. Just give and reading, you will understand. This we discussed previously also. So clinical significance of LDH. alkaline phosphate, creatine kinase, amylase, and alanine transaminase. Just check what are the substrate. Lactose, I think that's lactose too. There will be one reaction, lactate dehydrogenase, alkaline phosphatase. Then creatine kinase, you will find in creatine metabolism. Creatine to creatinine amylase. This is the digestive enzyme. Alanine transaminase. These are liver enzymes. Just see what are the substrates and what are the products you will get in the form of one substrate product, and this is the enzyme. Clinical significance is asked. No, okay. So clinical enzymology we have to go. That means in which diseases these enzyme levels are increased. Alanine transaminase, aspartate transaminase, they are increased in which disorders? Liver disorders. Isn't it?
Liver disorders.
Lactate dehydrogenase in case of lactose intolerance. Enzymes. Yes, better. See, amylase, it is raised in acute pancreatitis. SGOT, SGPT are nothing but alanine transaminase and aspartate transaminase. Alanine transaminase is increased in liver diseases, aspartate transaminase in heart attacks. Alkaline phosphatase in rickets and obstructive jaundice. Lactate dehydrogenase is increased in heart attack and liver disease. So creatine phosphokinase is increased in myocardial infarction. You can write this from this table. There is one more elaborated table also with values, reference values. Here also we have amylase, ALT, aspartate transaminase, alanine transaminase, alkaline phosphatase, the level which disease it is increased. Lactate dehydrogenase, normal level, and in which disease it is increased. Creatine kinase, normal level 10 to 15 international units per liter. Okay, and these are the diseases. Okay, then after this we have very short notes to do. Absolute specificity of enzymes. What does that mean? That means glucokinase is the enzyme. It will act only on glucose. Whereas hexokinase is an enzyme which has broad specificity. It can act on glucose, it can act on fructose. That means it can act on hexoses. Whereas absolute specificity means that particular enzyme is very much specific about its substrate. Glucokinase only on glucose, fructokinase acting only on fructose. That is one example you can give, but absolute specificity. Altered CNS behavior with advanced liver diseases. We'll see this better. Ethanol is administered in patients with methanol poisoning because ethanol goes and binds with the substrate where methanol usually binds. We will also see this. Functions of hemoglobinopathies and lactose intolerance.
Ma'am, can you repeat the 10th answer?
I will show you better. Methanol poisoning, actually, we'll see methanol poisoning. Check out just 2 lines answer better. This is methanol.
Okay.
Check in your book better. I'm not finding because there is some print error here. Okay, without that also I can explain. See here, listen carefully. See, basically what people consume as alcohol is ethanol. Alcohol. Okay. So, but suppose sometimes person may be mistaken and he thought it is alcohol and he has taken methanol instead of ethanol. Then in this case of methanol poisoning, what we should do is immediately we should give ethanol, because the place where methanol goes and binds, the same like substrate, just now we have seen competitive inhibition. Yes? The place where
Okay.
methanol is supposed to bind, if you give ethanol, ethanol becomes the priority and methanol will be replaced. Methanol will be removed. Ethanol will be excreted. That's the reason. In the case of methanol poisoning, we should give ethanol. Okay, beta? Can you name the
And what is the answer of the ninth one, ma'am?
Whatever I told you, see, in case of methanol poisoning, ethanol has to be administered because
Ninth one.
ninth one, we will see better. Advanced liver diseases, liver gets deposited in the neurons. If it is getting deposited in neurons, what happens? Person may have hemiplegia. We will see better this one. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Functions of hemoglobinopathies. Can you name them? Hemoglobinopathies. Sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, alpha thalassemia, beta thalassemia. This I explained many times. You have to elaborate.
Okay.
Alpha thalassemia, beta thalassemia, and sickle cell anemia. These are the consequences if the person is suffering with hemoglobinopathies. That means the transport mechanism of hemoglobin, oxygen won't be transported to the tissues. Okay, that is lactose intolerance. What happens? The lactose is not digested. So we have to give infant formulas which do not contain lactose because lactate dehydrogenase enzyme is missing by birth itself. Lactose is not digested. So we have milk formulas which do not contain lactose. Instead, we will give some other carbohydrate which is easily digested by the infant in case of lactose intolerance and CNS behavior in liver disease. We will see this. Liver diseases. This is general question that I'm got.
Okay.
As such, you will not find it. It's better you can browse instead. In case of liver diseases, what happens? Suppose you have this glycogen storage diseases, no? Like von Kirk's disease and all. So if the glycogen metabolites, if they get deposited, suppose in the brain, then the brain function will be deranged. Copper, if it is getting deposited in the brain function will be deranged. Okay. So sometimes it may lead to Alzheimer's disease also because of the deposition of all foreign material into the brain cells. Okay. So direct as such, we do not have such answer here, but it's overall general knowledge type of question.
Okay.
Altered CNS behavior. That means CNS behavior alteration, you will see like loss of memory, there may be hemiplegia, there may be hemiparesis, that is weakness of muscles. Okay, tingling, numbness, paresthesia. Whatever CNS symptoms we generally see, it may be seen in advanced liver diseases because all waste products like urea, uric acid, creatinine, and so many waste products may get transported to the brain cells and they may get deposited there, leading to altered CNS behavior. It's a general question, Vita. Okay?
Okay.
So you read these answers and try to write one on exam also, Vita. I have been asking you